A very good evening to all the students who are joining us today, and a very good evening to both the panelists, fantastic people joining us today from the two amazing universities from Canada. This is the fifth session in the series of sessions on how to apply to colleges in various countries. We had, one second. So we had US first, how to apply to US, UK, New Zealand, India, and then finally today we have Canada. In this session, you're going to learn about how the application process works in Canada. What is the cost of studying in Canada? What are the different kinds of scholarships? And towards the end of the session, you'll also get to know more about University of British Columbia and York University. Before we start off the session, a couple of quick points is that the session is being recorded. And the second thing is there is a Q&A feature at the bottom. Feel free to post any questions that you have about Canada, about applying to Canada, about the education in Canada in general. And I'm sure we'll try and take as many questions as possible. We also have a fantastic YouTube channel, which you can, there are lots of resources on that YouTube channel, Next Genius Webinars YouTube channel, which you can refer to and learn more about careers and colleges and admissions. The link to that YouTube channel, we'll just post it in the chat box. So just go ahead and check out the YouTube channel. And same thing about Instagram. We also have a fantastic Instagram account, which you can check out to learn about the upcoming events or some great resources about admissions and scholarships. So if you can please post the links for the YouTube and Instagram channel in the chat box, that would be great. And with that, we are ready to start. So let me first introduce both the speakers, and then we'll go ahead and ask them a lot of questions now. So Tanushree Bhattacharya. Tanushree is a senior recruiter and advisor with the International Student Recruitment Office at the University of British Columbia. The International Student Recruitment Office is responsible for recruiting outstanding international students from around the world for various undergraduate programs at UBC. While at the International Student Recruitment Office at UBC, Ms. Bhattacharya has largely focused her efforts and expertise on recruitment activities and initiatives in India and South Asia. As such, she has a good understanding of education systems as well as the unique needs and motivations of the students in the region. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Tanushree. Thank you for coming. Joining Tanushree on the panel, we have Megha Srivatsav. She is currently working with York University as a senior recruitment advisor for India and is based out of New Delhi. She is responsible for developing and successfully implementing the comprehensive marketing and student enrollment strategy for York across India. Prior to the current role, she was heading the South Asia operations for Brock University, Canada, across markets like India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan. Thank you, Megha, for joining, and let's get going. So let's start with you, Megha. Megha, let's tell us about what are the different types of universities and colleges in Canada. I'm not sure if there are colleges out there, but if there are, then what are the different kinds of universities and colleges in Canada?
Thanks, Devesh. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving both me and Tanushree this opportunity to come here and interact with the students. It's always a pleasure to come on these forums and talk more about the Canadian education segment. Coming to your question. So basically in Canada, Devesh, we categorize the post-secondary institutions into two. So you definitely have universities, you also have colleges. So universities would be institutions that provide you with academic degrees. So, they would provide you with bachelor's, master's, doctoral programs. And the focus is on academic and professional programs. Whereas colleges are, are institutions that provide you with diplomas and certificates. And there the focus is more on vocational programs and, programs related to career training. Now, these institutions, again, are further categorized into public and private. So when we're talking about universities, you also have private universities and you have public universities, and same goes for colleges. Colleges, again, you have community colleges and then you have private colleges as well. The basic difference between private and public institutions in Canada, number one, the public institutions receive funding from the respective provincial governments, whereas the private institutions are they rely more on the private investors that are there, the private ventures that are there, and also the tuition fee coming from the students. Again, for public institutions, the admission process is very structured. There are firm entry requirements, there are firm deadlines. And for private institutions, what I've seen is that there's still a bit of flexibility, and the admission getting into private institutions is a little easier. When we also talk, in terms of the career prospects, we usually see that when you're passing out from a public institution, you definitely have better career prospects as compared to a private institution. And also the recognition of your degrees. So when you have a degree from a public institution, it's globally recognized, it's accredited. With a private institution, that's not always the case. So that's what I would say about the different types of institutions that are present in Canada.
Superb. Thanks for sharing that. Public, private, and community college, is it? Or
so basically universities and colleges, and then you further categorize them into public and private. Yeah.
Superb. Moving on to the next question, Tanushree, do tell us about some of the most popular courses or programs or degrees that students pursue in Canada, and mostly the international students.
Yeah, so most of the Canadian institutions, whether public or private, as Megha mentioned, so all of us offer a wide range of programs that students can choose from. I think most of us, some of the bigger universities have more than 200 undergraduate majors that students can choose from. As in all countries, Canada is no different. I think some of the popular areas of study are definitely liberal arts, business, the STEM programs, whether science and engineering. But I would also like to draw the attention of the audience today to some of the very unique and niche programs that's offered by Canadian institution, that's on sustainability, applied biology, kinesiology, land and food system, forestry, and many more. And also, I encourage all the students to visit each university's website to find a program that's really interesting to them. So for example, under Faculty of Science, I know some of the popular majors could be astrophysics or biology or biotechnology. But students will be happy to know that there are majors like blockchain, artificial intelligence, data analytics, quantum computing. Faculty of Arts probably offers a major which is very interdisciplinary, like cognitive systems, where students can use the tools of computer science, linguistics, philosophy, psychology, and study the basis of human thought, its development, and the ways that it can be used effectively. So I should strongly recommend students to research Canadian institution, because we really offer some very, very wonderful programs and which have very strong career opportunities later on.
Superb. And one quick follow-up question on that is, the degree is usually 4-year long, right?
Yes, so all the undergrad degrees are going to be for 4 years.
And is it possible to do that, finish that a little earlier, 3.5 years? Are there ways to do that?
Yes, sometimes students are super achievers and they study some of the credits over the summers. But the Canadian degrees, it's not just about the degree that we always say, it's also about the student experience, taking part in different opportunities. And if you tend to do that, then you will normally complete a degree in its usual time. Yeah.
Superb. Thanks for that information. Moving back to you, Megha, do tell us about what are the top 5 factors, or what are some of the most important reasons why students see Canada as an exciting destination for their undergraduation?
Absolutely, Devesh. I think Canada is one of the leading destinations for international students, and there are so many factors behind it. Number one is the outstanding quality of education, right from the elementary school level going up to the post-secondary level. The other reason, which is very prominent, is the quality of life. So Canada is ranked #1 in the world for the quality of life, so it's an excellent place, not only to study, but also to live and work. Another very important factor is that it's a very warm and a welcoming country. It welcomes you with open arms. It's multicultural. And I think that's something which international students really value. And that's something which is very important from a perspective of an international student. Another factor definitely would be safety, because that's something that parents really look at. So Canada is one of the safest countries in the world. The last factor that I would want to kind of like outline would be the cost of studying and living in Canada is, quite affordable when we compare it to the other English speaking countries. So, that affordability factor definitely comes into play when you're looking at a international destination. So I feel these are the 5 factors. Of course, there's more to add to the list, but I'll stop here. Overall, it provides you with an experience that no other destination can provide you. And one more point, if I may add, would be the friendliest immigration policies that we have currently. Students are allowed to work part-time. They're also allowed to stay back after they complete their studies. So from an international student's perspective, those are also very, very important elements when they're taking that decision to choose their overseas destination.
Superb. Thanks for all those wonderful points, Megha. To all the students who are joining us a little late, we are in conversation with Megha and Tanushree from York University and UBC, University of British Columbia, and they are telling us about Canada, about the undergraduate education in Canada. And we have already had about 3-4 questions, and there are a lot more to come. My next question to you, Tanushree, is if you could tell us, if you could help us understand what are co-op programs and how does that work for international students?
Yeah, so I think all of us as Canadian institution or North American institution get asked this a lot about the co-op opportunities that's available. So co-op is really a cooperative education system that integrates students' academic education, which is like classroom-based learning, with relevant, supervised and paid experience, which is work-based learning. So during this placement, a student is supervised, they are evaluated and are paid by the employer. So this may add some time to the degree because students really take time off their academic calendar, and these are full-time work placements. So instead of the otherwise 4-year degrees, these degrees, if you have a co-op built in the degree or you opt for a co-op, the duration of the program or the degree can be 5 years or 4.5 years or more than 4 years practically. And also the one thing is that you apply what you learn in class to a real world situation. And it often happens that, for example, I'm very interested in economics, but when I work in a real life situation, I tend to realize that maybe this is not a career that I want to opt for, and I can come back and change my major. So this kind of flexibility is available to students in North America and in Canada particularly. So the co-ops have a lot of advantages, and one of them is like, as you graduate, you enter the job market, but you already have that work experience, and thanks to the co-op term that you may have done at the university, which helps. It also provides students with the networking to build connections, to build rapport with employers or colleagues during their co-op terms. And most of us have seen that more than 90% of our students are absorbed within a month of graduating who have opted for a co-op, and most of them get absorbed with their co-op employers. And it looks wonderful on your CV that you have had some work experience. So it really builds it and helps you to have strength as you go out and look for that first job of yours. And one of the best things is, of course, you get paid during this whole work term. Each university will have different types of co-ops. Some have it in build, and some have it as an optional. If students opt for it, they can go ahead and participate in a co-op. And so my advice to all students and parents attending today is that do explore these opportunities at Canadian institutions. They add a lot of value to your overall degree and to your overall student experience.
Fantastic. And co-ops are usually what, semester long or year long, right?
Most of us have a 3-term co-op, which means like a year and a half.
Okay.
But you can't obviously take a year and a half together. So maybe you take 2 co-op terms, you come back to academics, and then you take the 3rd one. So there's a lot of flexibility there.
Okay, got it. Okay, fantastic. Moving on to the next question, again related to careers and jobs. Megha, how do Canadian universities support students for career success?
So Devesh, one of the aspects that Canadian universities really focus on is career preparation and success. And all of us have a very dedicated career unit within our respective institutions, which supports students throughout their academic journey, at the respective institutions. And at times, the career units are also supporting them after they've graduated, like up to a certain level. So at York, our career unit would support a student up to 2 years after the student has graduated from York, apart from supporting him during those 4 years. And these career units, Devesh, provide a series of services, so number one definitely is, helping you prepare your resume in the Canadian style, or organizing career workshops, organizing the job fairs, networking events on the campus. These, of course, for the past 1.5 years have all gone virtual, but there has not been a pause. The career units have been working relentlessly to ensure that there is no break when it comes to these kind of services. Also, they help you in case if you're looking out for internship opportunities, and they also give you access to the available job listings. At York, we also have a very interesting Connect program. Our career unit has a Connect program with our alumni, wherein our alumni takes our current students out. It's called the Taste program, wherein they take them out for a meal and talk about the various career opportunities that are there. So, so this is one of, like I said, this is one of the main elements, and there's a lot of focus that's given on that. And that's one of the reasons why, if you look at the employment rates of most of the public universities in Canada, they're all above 90%.
That's wonderful. So you say career units, right? That's it's like
we all label them as different. So the general term is our career assistance unit.
Yes.
Some of us call it career center.
Right. Yeah, that's what. Like we work with the US universities a lot, and a lot of them, they call it career centers, right? So that's what it is actually. Yeah, career centers, career units. Okay. Next question is a lot of students and the families, they always have questions about rankings, and I'm sure you would hear that a lot too. So Tanushri, should rankings actually play an important role while you are choosing a Canadian university for a undergraduate program?
This is a tough question, and as educationists, we all know that. But I believe that one must take ranking with a grain of salt. These rankings can be very fascinating, yet they do not help students find the right college for them. So the big problem with ranking is that they do not provide personalized match, that considers your criteria, your goal as a student. So choosing a college is a very subjective decision. So it depends on what's best for me or what's best for a particular student, and not an arbitrary popularity contest. And all of us know, who observe and who read about rankings very closely, is that the difference between colleges ranked number 1 or ranked number 10th or 25th may not be significant. And a difference of, say, 0.1 might just, it is all that it takes to shift a college up and down that ranking list. And also, rankings are very circular in nature, so some of the top ranked colleges are top ranked because of their reputation, and they have a strong reputation because they're top ranked. So it's really funny that way. So don't base your decision solely on ranking. Instead, rely on what's important to you and your particular situation. It could be affordability. It could be the outcome that the college has. It could be the program that you are applying to, the quality of education, or the opportunities during and after the program. So, and then maybe you want to assign certain ratings to those and see which is the college that really stands out. And that college is going to be a better fit for you than a college that is highly ranked. So this is just my take on ranking. It's interesting to learn about it, but don't let it be a determining factor to shortlist and go to a college.
Superb. That's such a fantastic piece of advice, Tanushri. And yeah, absolutely. I totally resonate with that. Look at the college that you are a good fit for, right? It's important to understand fit. Don't run behind rankings. It might be a good way to sort of start your search probably, but always look more deeper and find out the colleges which might be right for you. Yeah. Superb. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about cost of education, right? I'm sure a lot of students want to know about how much does it cost to study in Canada? What would be a general tuition fee range, living expenses, and so on. So, Megha, can you help us understand that?
So Devesh, that's actually a very tricky question because there is so much of variation. And also in a positive way, because if you're looking at Canada, then you can definitely zero down on an institution that in a way is the perfect fit for you in a lot of ways, whether you're looking for a particular program or you're looking at a particular budget. So what I've usually seen, this variation is usually between going up from 18,000 Canadian dollars going up to 60,000 Canadian dollars per year. And I might be wrong because, the fee also keeps getting revised. But on an average, this is what I've seen. So again, a lot of variation there. But like I said, the positive aspect is that you will find an institution which is the right fit for you based on whichever factors that you're looking at. Also, when we talk about professional programs like medicine, law, for these programs, Devesh, usually I've seen that the fee ranges anywhere between 40,000 going up to 70,000 Canadian dollars per year. And Tanusha, you can correct me on that because my knowledge is kind of like limited there. And living expenses usually, if I talk from the perspective of York, it usually varies anywhere between 12,000 going up to 18,000. Again, depends on a lot of factors as to which place are you staying? Are you staying on campus? Are you staying off campus? What's your lifestyle? So yeah, but then the usual range is something like, it varies between these figures usually.
That provides great insights. Actually, you said 23,000 to 40K, somewhere in that range. Of course, this is a general range. We cannot say that this is absolutely what we are looking at. And of course, it also varies. And you have to consider the currency fluctuations.
Absolutely.
You have to consider that the fees might rise a little bit every year. In many cases, you'll have to also think that medicine courses are usually priced higher. So, but this would provide you a general idea of what the cost might be like, or the investment might be like. I believe the Canadian dollar is somewhere around 55 rupees per dollar right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Tanushri, anything that you would like to add on this particular question?
Yes, I think Megha kind of gave us an accurate range. But what's also good news is that a lot of us give you a lot of scholarships. So that is fantastic news. And also I feel that, some of us are really equivalent to the Ivy Leagues of the US, but we are way less expensive for the experience and the education and the degree that you get. Even some of us who might be on the higher side of that range of fee, we give you a wonderful experience, but we are probably way less than some of the Ivy Leagues in the US. And also there are liberal scholarships that's given to international students in spite of a lot of us being public universities. So therefore do check the merit scholarships, the need awards that are given out by various Canadian institutions to support international students.
Fantastic. Okay, so Tanushri, moving on to the next question is about the weather. You know, we know it's quite cold out there, and lots of students and families might have that question for you. So what would you advise to a student who is just most concerned about the cold weather out there in Canada?
I think what I'll say to begin with is that what you've heard of the Canadian winter, it's true, right? It is cold. So whether you are an international student who is in the Pacific shore of British Columbia or in the east of, Toronto or say Newfoundland, it is going to be a cold weather, but there is more to Canada than just the weather. You know, you must look over and above just the Canadian weather. Yes, it's going to be cold. And for some of us, you know, for those of us who stay in some of the extreme regions in India, we experience cold as well. But what's different in the Canadian winters is the wind chill, which we are not so used to. But, you know, wearing in leather, like layers of clothes is very, very important. And that as you live there, it will tell you what works best for you. Everything, every building, your housing, your academic buildings are all insulated. So the only time probably you feel the cold is when you're walking to your residences or you're working for your classes. But my word of advice to you would be to enjoy the winter, make the most of it. Maybe you've never played a winter sport like ice hockey, snowshoeing, snowboarding, skiing, learn something new and explore the true Canadian life. Because remember, the colder months will go and it will soon be followed by warmer summer and picturesque autumn. So Canada is more than just the winters.
Wonderful. Thanks for that advice. And yeah, I mean, these universities have been in place for so many years, and I'm sure they have that infrastructure to and they are international universities. Lots and lots of international students go there and study. So they have that kind of an infrastructure in place to support you and to help you with this, and adjust to the weather conditions. Okay, super. Moving on, Megha, once again about jobs. Are there any part-time jobs available on campus or any kind of opportunities like that which might help bring the cost further down slightly for the students?
Absolutely, Devesh. And most of the Canadian universities also have a very dedicated work study program that is basically focused for the incoming undergrad students. And under this particular program, the focus is to create employment job opportunities for the students. So various types of opportunities. If you can always take up some admin, clerical, technical level job, you know, within the faculty or your respective institution. You can become an international student ambassador or a peer mentor, or you can also intern, you know, under your professor if he's got a funded research project. So these are the various types of opportunities that are available, and these are all for the undergrad students on the campus. In fact, York also has a very dedicated work study program under which we generate close to about 2,000 to 2,500 opportunities per year. And also then your opportunities are not only limited on campus, you can always look out for opportunities off campus as well. As an international student, you're allowed to work for 20 hours a week as an international student when your classes are in session, and when your classes are not in session, then you can work for up to 40 hours a week. And we see most of the students from South Asia, you know, taking up part-time job opportunities, and sky's the limit. There are opportunities available both on campus, off campus, and it really helps them, like you said, rightly said, to bring down that cost, to manage their living expenses, you know, for the month, you know, as they get along. So there are plenty of opportunities available.
Thanks, Megha. Thanks for sharing that information. Moving on to the question about the world that we're living in, COVID. How have the universities supported, or how are the universities providing support to the students in the presence of the current COVID situation? There are visa delays, there are flight delays. Students are suffering from, there are mental health challenges out there, lots of anxiety, not just within students' minds, but also with the parents, right? So how do Canadian universities sort of support the families in this, Tanushree?
So I would say that, initially Canada really led the way in terms of policy response to international students during the pandemic. That demonstrated inclusivity as the underlying principle and support measures that were targeted to international students affected by COVID. And also in terms of reopening its borders in October, Canada was again leading from the front, and they also announced the extension of work, post-study work rights, and also made vaccines available for international students on campus. But of course, there has been fear, stress, worry amongst the student community and parents community, and for obvious reasons. But each university has a lot of resources available on campus and a lot of support group available on campus to help students navigate these challenging times, whether they are online or phone services that help students speak to health professionals, connect with peers, or to browse through self-help topics, So what our suggestion has been to students and our advice has been that stay informed, but check accurate sources. Check official websites, check the WHO website, or for students in the province of British Columbia, check the BC Centre for Disease Control, or check the Government of Canada's website. Each university, we have a COVID page, and we have been running this for the last 2 years, updating every process change, every policy update on that page. So students are encouraged to keep informed, going to these official websites and not kind of visiting everything and hearing everything and not the rumors so much. Also find ways to manage stress and reach out to support groups on campus. There are a lot of support groups on campus and health professionals who are working with our international students. So there are some very good websites, the Canadian Mental Health Association, which is the coronavirus managing stress and anxiety. You have the World Health Organization site, which is coping with stress during the COVID-19 outbreak. Check specific details, check health guidelines, reach out to people, reach out to other peers who can give you that emotional support, or reach out to others and provide that support to others. Staying positive during this time, and to remember that all of us are in this together. And universities have gone way beyond and above in terms of supporting international students navigate these times, whether it's admissions decisions, to supporting students for visas, early application of visas. We have turned all offers unconditional. So I would like to let all students know that as we decide as institution, you are the center of that decision making, and your well-being is at center of that decision making for most Canadian institutions.
Superb. Thanks for sharing that, Tanushree. Of course, I think universities have gone out of their ways and sort of done so much to support the students across during this difficult period. Yeah. Okay. So moving on now, Megha, do tell us that there are a lot of questions about application process in the Q&A. So can you just highlight a little bit about how the application process would work for Canadian universities?
Absolutely, Devesh. And again, there's variation even in that. When we talk about the application process, it might vary from institution to institution and also province to province. So I'll highlight the application process for Ontario, and then maybe Tanushree can come in and talk about the application process for British Columbia. So for Ontario, students have the option of applying either through the OUAC, which is a common app for Ontario universities. And that's the route that we usually recommend to the students if they are looking at applying to more than one university. And some of the universities in Ontario also have an internal application. So York has an internal application as well. So if you're a student who's really bent on applying only to York, which is a very rare possibility because students do want to keep options open, and we definitely recommend them to do that. But then we also have an internal application, so students can apply through that. So there are two types of application options available to students in most of the Ontario universities. Tanushree, do you want to add anything about British Columbia?
Yes, so for the province of British Columbia, you apply through the EPBC system, which is the Education Planner British BC, which is same as the OUAC or the UCAS that you have for different UCAS for UK. And there you register, and then you can begin your application to various universities in the province of British Columbia. And I see there were a few questions about if you're applying to UBC, should you register with EPBC or can you apply to UBC directly? Unfortunately, from this year, we have become a part of EPBC, so there aren't any direct application to UBC. And just chiming into what Megha said, that, you know, the basic admissions requirements in Canada are no SATs. So no SAT requirements. If you have taken it and you want to voluntarily report it to us, we're happy to receive it, but it is not a prereq to apply to a Canadian institution. What do we focus on? Of course, it varies, but our fundamental focus is academic excellence. So, you know how in earlier times, Canada was thought of as the second option to the United States, it no longer is. You know, we are going to focus on academic excellence. And of course, some of us like UBC will also focus on extracurriculars or a personal profile or achievements or challenges outside of academics. So like the US, we will have some essay questions. And most of us have early deadlines, like a Jan-Feb deadline to application, and it is a year in advance, just like the US. So do be mindful of these. If you are interested in a particular university, then do research that institution, do go to their website, find out the various deadlines. They can be different for scholarship specific students as well. So do your research, plan in advance. And I see from your whole question, Devesh, that a lot of them are grade 11, so which is great. You are starting early, so you do your research now, know the program, know the institution, reach out to us if you have any specific questions regarding the application. But yeah, more or less, it is by province. We are just speaking for the two bigger provinces, but may not be a representative of the entire application process in Canada. So do your research, but know fundamentally that we will focus on academic grades and no SATs. English language, very important. Even if you meet our English language requirement, you won't get a study permit unless you've taken the IELTS TOEFL. So therefore, whether you are an international curriculum student doing the IB or the Cambridge, or you're doing the CBSE ISC, please take the IELTS and get it out of your way if Canada is your top destination country. Do not wait till the very end to take the IELTS or TOEFL, because sometimes, given the pandemic landscape, we don't know when examinations are going to be cancelled or rescheduled. So while it's happening, just take it, get it out of your way, because you won't get a study permit. You can be admitted to York, you can be admitted to UBC, but there is no fun unless you get a study permit.
Oh, great. So thanks for sharing all of that information with us, Megha and Tanushree. It was great learning about so much about how the whole process works for Canada.